A detective's search for a murder weapon ends with a suspect's own father handing it over from under his truck's dashboard. This is the 2026 Texas trial of Cody Arnold, charged in the shooting death of 21-year-old Caitlin Stone. The prosecution has just called its next witness after a crime scene technician detailed how a single bullet traveled through the victim's head and lodged on the opposite side.
Right before lunch, I think I had you identify States Exhibit 43.
Yes, sir.
And this is the trash can that was at the scene folks for, right?
Yes, sir.
So did you just pick it up and stick it in a big old bag like this?
Yes, sir, I did.
And as we talked about, it should be empty just like the photograph, correct?
Yes.
Don't change anything other than moving it into this format.
Yes.
And this has the red tape that we've all been talking about,
Yes, sir.
as well as your initials in that.
Yes, sir.
This time, Your Honor, the statement tender states Exhibit 43.
No objections, very good.
It is admitted.
You attended the autopsy of this young lady, Caitlin Stone, did you not?
Yes, sir.
And you took, how many photographs did you take there? Did you and I go through some of those photographs to pick some for the purposes of this trial? On my approach.
Yes.
I'll show you what's marked as States Exhibit 44, 45, 46, and 47. Are these the photographs that we selected that you believe will help supplement testimony from the doctor and reflect some of the items that we've been discussing?
Yes, sir.
And you are the one that took these photographs?
Yes, sir. I am.
And it was during the portion of the autopsy of this lady, Caitlin Stone,
Yes, sir.
who's an item retrieved from her head,
Yes, sir.
an X-ray,
Yes, sir.
as well as some close-ups of the actual gunshot wound. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It truly and accurately depict what you saw that day of the autopsy on March 29th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
And then we would finish States Exhibit 44 through 47.
Can we approach, Judge?
Yes. Therefore, states exhibits 44 through 47 are admitted. You like published.
Thank you, Judge. This is States 44. What do you see here, Kelly?
This is a photograph of the right side of Caitlin Stone's head and the bullet wound to her right temple.
Had she been cleaned up a little bit in the process before this photograph was taken?
Yes, sir.
Is that one of the main reasons why you selected this one in our discussions?
Yes, sir.
And in States 45, is this a close-up of that, ma'am?
Yes, sir, it is.
In fact, of all your photographs, is this as close to the gunshot wound as we got? What do you see there, ma'am?
I see a bullet wound, which is the round circle, and the black mark around the circle is gonna be like a burn mark that comes from the blast of the end of the gun. And then all the little red dots that you see around that is gonna be stippling, which is the gunpowder burning of the skin when the blast comes out of the end of the barrel.
In States 46, what's the jury looking at here with?
This is a photograph that I took of the x-ray that the morgue took of her head, trying to show them the location of where the bullet projectile is in her head.
So this is actually before the projectile was removed?
Yes, sir.
And if this is the right side of, I'm indicating on States 46, where the gunshot wound is in States 45,
Yes, sir.
is it accurate that the bullet is retrieved on the entire opposite side of that,
Yes, sir, it is.
still within the head.
Yes, sir, between and that x-ray, it does show you that it's between the scalp and the crown of the head.
And you were there during the autopsy. You watched that whole process, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
States 47. Is that the projectile that was removed?
Yes, sir, it is.
Because of that item and passed it on through some of the exhibits we've already dealt with. That's the witness, Judge.
Good afternoon. Captain, I want to talk to you. Do you have a copy of your report there by chance?
Yes, sir, I do.
If you could pull it out, because I know you're gonna have to refresh your memory.
Sure.
During this investigation, you went to several locations, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, over a period of days, correct?
Yes.
And it started on the evening of the 27th in the morning of the 28th of March of 22, correct?
Yes, sir.
When you all were called out. But I want to direct your attention to page 7 of your report on the bottom, ma'am. Through the investigation, were you called to go to a location on County Lane Road? County line, excuse me, line. On April 6th of 2022. About 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
What's the address again?
It was 18609 County Line Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you went,
4/6 of 22 at 12:53 p.m.
right, that's what I was saying. Okay.
Okay.
When you got there, did you take pictures of the individuals that was at that location?
The persons?
Yes, that were there.
Yes, sir.
One of them was Stony Arsenal,
Yes, sir.
and Stony Arsenal was here yesterday to testify. You weren't here yesterday. I mean, you don't know who Stony is. Well, you took his picture, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was that Stony Arsenal's, residence or purported to be residence?
I believe it was. I'm not sure.
Okay. And there were other people there, Traeger, Daigle, and Ashley Choate. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you turn over to the next page to refresh your memory, because there was testimony earlier from Stony, Arsenal that Cody Arnold was never around in the vicinity. Okay, you weren't here to listen to the testimony, or that he was ever over there at the house, his house, Arsenal's house, on County Line Road. Okay. You were asked to photograph and take into as evidence things from a black Dodge truck. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you recovered 4 digital cards, did you not?
No, sir. I collected 4 debit cards.
Debit cards. My eyes are deceiving me. And who did those debit cards belong to?
Cody Arnold.
If someone hadn't been over there or around them, or they said they knew of them but no dealings with them, do you know how that would have gotten into Stony Arsenal's truck?
No.
You also, placed into evidence, or as possible evidence, a number of cell phones.
Yes, sir.
Did you anytime try to figure out who the owners of those cell phones were or who they belonged to?
No, sir. I just collect them, and then the investigators do any phone investigations they need on them.
But to the best of your knowledge, that truck belonged to Mr. Arsenault because it was parked at Mr. Arsenault's residence. Is that correct?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Arsenault was there. Besides everything you did in reference to collecting it, I guess you transported some things, or did you just send them off? Items to like other agencies? Did you send any items to other agencies? as,
Other agencies?
Yes.
To like crime labs?
yeah, like DNA stuff and
Yes,
things like
I
that?
did.
Okay. Besides all that, did you do anything else with this investigation? I think it was April 6th. You didn't go out to any other scenes, or collected any other possible evidence?
No, sir.
And I know afterwards you received, taken, sent, whatever it is, what you collected to other places, right? And then also you did that because we're here today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You don't know any of the participants or anything like that. Your job was just to collect the evidence.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you again. Pass it, Mr.
No additional questions, Judge.
Is this lady excused?
Please, Your Honor.
You are excused, ma'am. Thank you. Next, please.
Chad Williamson.
And raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Please have a seat.
State your name for the record, please.
Chad Williamson.
Hey, brother, sir.
I'm employed by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
In what capacity?
I am the supervisor of the criminal investigation.
What does that mean?
Means I'm a detective.
As a supervisor, are you over other detectives there?
I am.
And were you working in that capacity back in March of 2022?
I was not.
Okay, what capacity were you then?
I was a detective.
Did you end up working this case involving Chelsea Shipp, Cody Arnold, and the death of Caitlin Stone?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury how you got assigned to the case.
I met my supervision out on Kiker Road at Brandy Moon's house, where we got a tip that there was a body in Gwinnett.
Who was your supervisor then?
It was Trish Malfino, Captain Trish Malfino.
And so you met her out at Kiker Road?
Yes, sir. And other detectives.
Okay. Saw the interview, or did you see interviews of Brandy Moon and Cody Smith?
I did not.
Okay. So what did you do at the Kiker Road residence?
We gathered the information, and then the information being that the body was possibly at Cody Arnold's house on
Okay.
the College Corner.
And did you go to that location?
Yes, sir, I did.
Who all goes to that location?
Myself, Captain Malfino, Major Chadney, Detective Dixon, Detective Staggs, and Detective Powell.
Were y'all all in separate vehicles or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know you did a lot once you got there, and I know you have a lot to testify about, or could potentially testify about. I want to jump to one thing in particular, and that is about the firearm that ultimately gets identified in this case. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell the jury how we learned about this firearm.
We received a tip on March 31st, 2022, that the firearm that was used in this homicide was in the possession of Dustin Burnham.
Was that a confidential tip?
Yes, sir.
And did y'all get a search warrant and based upon that?
Yes, sir.
And did y'all go to Mr. Burnham's location?
Yes, sir.
And did you conduct a search?
Yes, sir.
What'd you find there?
We did find a Ruger 380 semi-automatic firearm in Dustin Burnham's truck.
When you found that, did you find a serial number on the individual firearm and all that?
There was a serial number.
May I approach, Judge?
Yes.
I've been having some folks identify State's Exhibit 25. Is this gonna be, right, so what serial number do you have in your notes, sir?
I do not have a serial number on my notes.
Okay. So you can't identify it by the number?
No, sir.
Okay. How do you know this is the firearm?
It's the one that was logged in on the day of, and I'm the person that logged it in.
So on the front, the jury's learned a lot about these. I'll tell you because we've been talking about evidence. On this evidence tag, are you C. Williamson?
I am.
Is this the address that you went to?
Yes, sir.
What is that address?
7398 Patterson Road.
And that was pursuant to a search warrant.
Yes, sir.
Did you see the firearm that appeared to be that firearm?
It appears so.
So how is it that? How did y'all get it? Did y'all find it or did Mr. Burnham assist you?
Mr. Burnham assisted us.
In what way did he assist y'all?
He told them that the gun we're looking for is under the dash.
Of his vehicle?
Dashboard of his vehicle, yes.
When you got it, did it have a magazine inside there?
I don't recall.
Were you finding a separate magazine in the silver bag?
Yes, I do.
You remember there being bullets within the bag that was contained within the gun?
Yes,
And you remember it actually containing a mag as well? Magazine.
yes, sir.
Do all of these items that I'm pulling out of the box contain the case number associated with this particular piece of evidence?
The detective's testimony reveals something crucial about how murder weapons surface in real investigations. They rarely come from dramatic raids. Here, a confidential tip led to a search warrant, but the actual recovery happened because the suspect's own father pointed officers to the gun hidden under his truck's dashboard. Under the Fourth Amendment, that voluntary cooperation doesn't invalidate the warrant, it simply made the search more efficient. The prosecution's chain of custody documentation, who logged what, when, and where, will become critical if the defense challenges whether this is truly the murder weapon.
See the number here? What number is this?
117797.
Was that number on each one of these three items that are contained within?
Yes.
So once somebody takes an exhibit like this into custody, where does it go?
We transported to our evidence lockers that are housed at our jail near our property room. We log it in as far as we put it in this box. We label it with the label that you see on top of this box, an evidence label. We describe it and we put it in the locker and we lock it. We take the only key that's available for that locker and put it in another lockbox that our evidence property manager has access to.
And do y'all do a separate evidence transmittal, like a separate form that the crime lab asked for?
Yes, a form is done.
Do you have a copy of that with you today?
I do not, sir.
Do you remember filling one of those out?
I do not remember.
It's the kind of form I was just referring to. Have you seen this before?
I have not seen that form, no.
Okay. This form does reference that you were the one responsible for receiving this particular item, correct?
Correct.
It would have been Miss Kelly that filled out this, to recognize your signature. Would that indicate to you, sir, that she is the one that transferred that from you on to the Jefferson County Regional Crime Lab? For purposes of this testimony now, Your Honor, I'm going to pass the witness.
I have no questions of this witness at this point, Judge, but subject to recall.
Okay, you are excused, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Next, please.
Nathan Staggs.
And please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Please have a seat, sir. Pull that microphone.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Nathan Staggs.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a detective at the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been employed in that capacity?
I started working at the Sheriff's Office in 2014.
Were you working as a detective back in?
I was in patrol when I started, and I moved. I got promoted to investigations to be a detective in 2021.
Okay. When you're working as detectives with the sheriff's office, is there a particular area of the types of crimes that you're investigating, or is it subject to just anything?
It's kind of subject to who's available. We don't really specialize in a lot of things. Some of us do specialize in certain types of investigations, but we kind of all handle every kind of case. So.
I know that you have a specialty we've been talking about, and I'm going to come back to that, but I want to go ahead and talk about it for a minute. You have some training apparently dealing with phones, social media, something of that nature. Tell the jury about that.
I guess partially because I'm one of the younger detectives, I believe. I've kind of moved into kind of the more of the digital evidence and technology. I pretty much handle anything we have to deal with social media. And so a lot of social media investigations, and then I've been doing a lot of training through the NW3C and the United States Secret Service on different types of digital investigations, whether it's open source internet intelligence, and then a lot of the stuff through the cell phones. Been doing a lot of that lately.
You mentioned some initials I haven't heard. NW3
National White Collar Crime Center, I believe is what it's called. It's just different law enforcement training.
Okay. And I'll do that training in that regard. Let's back up to the date of this offense. When were you called out to the scene of this homicide investigation regarding Caitlin Stowe?
I was called out a little around 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, March 27th, 2022.
To which location?
I initially responded to an address off of Piper and met with some of our patrol deputies and other investigators that were out there. And then later, once we had identified, located Mr. Arnold's address and likely residence, knowing the area, and it was a dead end road. And so myself, maybe another detective, I can't remember if it was just me and him. We kind of went to the area and just started.
And that's the location
on Cobb's Corner. I think a lot of people call it Cold.
Daylight. You recognize that location, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right.
That evidence tracking number 117797 isn't just bureaucracy. It's the backbone of what lawyers call chain of custody. Every handoff from officer to locker to crime lab must be documented so defense attorneys can't argue the evidence was tampered with or swapped. When the witness can't recall the transmittal form, that gap becomes ammunition for cross-examination.
So it sounds like you go from the Kiker Road residence with information you're working with to here?
Yes, sir.
And you initially set up to see if there was any traffic?
Yes, we had looked at, we had pulled some possible vehicles that we believe Mr. Arnold and Mrs. Shipp were driving. And so we were looking for those especially, but really it was just to see if there were any vehicles coming and going from the house.
All right, so already just within hours of the notification, you have names and you're looking for vehicles.
Yes, sir.
All right, before we get too far, you've been there.
Yes, sir.
And I'm pointing to this location where this residence is. And I've been to this scene as well, by memory. And what I want you to testify is how accessible it is to get to this location.
It is in a very kind of rural part of the county. It is a dead end road. I believe it's off of Patterson. There's really only one way in or one way out, and it's very dark, especially at night. There's not a lot of street lights or anything out there. And so there's really one way in, one way out, and it sits kind of pretty good distance off the road. And it's not a busy area at all. There's not a lot of people moving that part of the neighborhood.
Right, so the term I've heard before is ambient lighting. We pick up from city life, basically, where there's a lot of different lights.
Yeah.
Is there any of this kind of lighting whenever y'all went to this location on March 27th, 2023?
Out there, the only thing you see are porch lights. That's about the only lighting. There's no street lights. If there are, there may be one on Creighton, or, more of a busier road. But, it was pretty dark, except for maybe lights coming from inside the house or a porch light.
Right, so as the sheriff's office is responding to this location with a concern of looking at a murder investigation,
Mhm.
are there security concerns about entering an environment like this with that type of lighting?
Yes,
Is that why you were set up to see if there was any traffic?
yes. We kind of wanted to know how many people might be at the residence if we were gonna need to go there and make contact for the investigation. It's kind of hard to determine if there are a lot of people there, but,
Did you tell me that you actually drove up and down that road before others got there?
Yeah, did a drive-by. I don't drive a patrol vehicle. I drive an unmarked vehicle. And so, it's a little easier for me to do surveillance without kind of getting spotted. Police cars stick out. So I did a drive-by a couple times and only saw a couple of cars, but not well enough to get their plates or anything to call them a dispatch. I didn't believe I saw many cars or a lot of movement going on. And so after doing a drive-by and turn around someone's driveway right on their street, went back to a different location to where I knew there was only, if someone was coming or leaving, I knew they'd have to pass by me.
You didn't see anything like that?
Didn't see anybody moving.
Was this trailer, did it have its porch light on? I think that light might actually be on in this picture. Am I right?
Yeah, I know there's a light that's on right there. I think that porch light may have been on at night. Not positive. I know it came on maybe later when we were talking. I remember it being on when we were on scene talking. I believe it was most likely on during the evening.
All right. So you get there, you kind of surveil the place to see how safe it is to approach, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're working with information that someone was shot and killed here, right?
Yeah, at that time what I've been told is the investigators that were already on scene had a pretty good. The information they had was that someone had been shot and that they were still at that residence. The body was still at that residence.
So there's a heightened concern about that and also an emergency need to move forward, right? Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
So once you've determined that it's as safe as it's gonna be, what did law enforcement do?
They made the decision that we needed to go approach the residents and talk to whoever was there.
Did y'all do that collectively?
Yes.
Was that the six detectives that we've been talking about? Or was there more?
I believe it was 6 that were there. I told them that, I kind of told them what I'd been seeing, how it'd been very quiet, hadn't seen anyone moving, hadn't seen any cars. Kind of gave them a brief description of the area. And as soon as everyone made their way from Hiker, we all moved up and approached at once.
So as you approached, what did you see?
I actually ended up going towards the back of the residence. It was kind of unknown from the road. And I could see there were some side buildings and a kind of garage area. Again, being the younger guy, if someone was going to run or I'd be the one that had to chase them. And so most of the people went to the front and I kind of went to the back until they told me to come up home.
So detective, I didn't include one of the photographs here of the back of the residence. But memory serves that there's not any steps for the back door that goes out.
I don't believe so. It was pretty dark, but I don't believe I remember seeing I knew there wasn't a porch. Couldn't tell if I don't believe there were steps or anything.
Somebody would have had to jump out the back door and start running.
Which has happened. So that's kind of what we were worried about.
So you were ready in case that happened, in case we had a rabbit. That's a word you like to use. That did not occur here.
No,
So when that didn't occur, did you come around to the front?
yeah, they told me to come around to the front, and when I came around to the front, they were talking with Mr. Arnold and his father Calvin, I believe was on the porch.
Right, so it's the first time you said Mr. Arnold.
Yes.
Do you see Mr. Arnold in the courtroom here
Yes.
today? Can you point to him and identify him for the record,
Yeah.
please?
Cody Arnold sitting there, shirt,
What color is his shirt?
white.
Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant Cody Lee Arnold.
Well, you got two white shirts over there and that, for the record, can you be a little more?
He's not wearing a tie.
The record shall show that the witness has identified the defendant in this case.
Details matter, detective.
Yes, sir.
The jury that you came around, you saw him, and I think you said somebody else.
I don't know if they were both outside, but I know Cody's father, Calvin, I think he came out pretty shortly after. I believe Cody came out first, but when I came outside, I know Captain Molfino was talking to Cody, and I believe Calvin was on the porch.
Okay. So was this, were you there whenever he exited from the trailer or not?
No, I was,
So you don't know how it is that he came out?
No.
When you got there, were you able to observe his demeanor?
yes,
And by his, I'm referencing the defendant Cody Arnold.
he didn't seem very concerned with our presence, to be honest with you. Knowing what I know now, it seemed very strange. I can only guess how someone would act if there was a body in their bedroom and then the police showed up at their door. I would guess I would.
Your Honor, if he's going to guess, I guess I'm gonna have to object to speculation.
He didn't seem concerned with our presence. He didn't seem very nervous.
So let's try to put this in perspective. How many suspects have you dealt with where you're talking to them where there's somebody dead in their bedroom?
I've never talked to someone that had a dead body in the bedroom before.
So Cody Lee Arnold's the first. And so you made the reference that looking back at it, you found the behavior odd.
Yes, sir.
It's not how you would have reacted.
I would have definitely been more concerned.
So he didn't seem concerned to you.
No.
All right, so let's get into some of the details about the items you observe whenever you're out there. Officer, are you the one that was kind of tasked with watching him while others were doing things?
Yes, I stood by, I was watching him.
Tell the jury why we need to have an officer doing something like that.
It's always better to have more than one set of eyes on a person. And just because it's an unknown situation, we suspected that there had recently been a homicide. So obviously we're aware that a gun has most likely been used and may be near someone. There may possibly or be a gun in the house. And so everyone has to be on heightened alert because we don't know the location of a firearm or other weapons. And we also, normally people react very confrontational when they're caught. And it can turn into a violent situation.
Right, so let me stop you there. Was Cody Arnold confrontational with you?
No,
You used the term heightened. I think of heightened awareness, that when you're walking into something like that, you got to be extremely cautious. Your training teaches you that, right?
yes, sir.
So you were tasked with one, but that wasn't their assigned task?
Everyone was kind of doing something different, but just because of my experience on the SWAT team and a lot of high risk situations.
So Did you observe Detective Powell go into the residence?
Yes,
The jury has heard from him on day one that he was the one that was tasked with the responsibility of going in and trying to check the safety of the residents. Do you remember that?
yes, sir. I remember him going in.
And do you remember that task falling to Detective Powell?
I remember him, I believe, being the only person that went in.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you. Is it accurate there was only one officer that went in?
I believe he was the only person that went in.
Were you there when he exited?
Yes,
Could you hear what he was saying he saw in the room?
actually said the words, but told us to detain Cody.
Are you the one that detained him?
I assisted.
Okay. So as he's being detained, the demeanor that you described to the jury initially, does it change?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you see.
He kind of went emotionless, kind of lost expression. He had been, he seemed kind of more aloof and kind of
How loose?
nonchalant at first. And then once that happened, he, I guess, kind of sulked a little bit. He wasn't as talkative. His demeanor definitely changed. It wasn't a positive demeanor, and it wasn't, it definitely showed concern.
So
Worried.
you said he was talking.
Notice how the prosecution builds the narrative through small details. The detective confirms Arnold was cooperative, not confrontational, undermining any future claim of panic or self-defense. Then the demeanor shift, from chatty boyfriend to expressionless and sulking the moment he learned police found something. Courts treat sudden behavioral changes as circumstantial evidence of consciousness of guilt.
Before, what was he talking about?
I believe Captain Malfino was just kind of asking him about if he had a girlfriend and what her name was and where she was.
Did you hear his statements?
Mhm.
What did he say?
Yes, he identified, he said he was dating a girl named Caitlin Stone. I believe he said that she was with Chelsea Ship and they had gone to Orange.
Putting up on the screen states Exhibit 23. You recognize that as the photograph of Caitlin Stone?
Yes, sir.
So his statements to early on, before he's detained, is that was his girlfriend. She wasn't there. She was with Chelsea Ship on her way to Orange.
Yes, I think he said either Orange or Vidor,
Okay.
somewhere in that area.
Definitely not there, dead in his bedroom.
Yeah, no, he didn't mention it. Said she was with Chelsea someplace else. And I believe he said something about Chelsea had his pants too in his phone.
That's an odd statement, sir.
We asked him where his phone was. I believe Captain Malfino asked him where his phone was.
Okay, so that's the connection with that?
Yes.
That his phone was in a pair of pants that somebody else had.
Yes.
All right. So that demeanor, those kind of talking, answering, that changes after he's detained.
Yes, sir.
He was, when he's detained, was he left on the porch there in some handcuffs, or was he placed into a patrol car?
Initially, we weren't on the porch. We were just off the steps, I believe.
Go ahead and show me where, please. I want to have somebody use this. Use this. I know it's fancy. For a high-tech guy like you, you're gonna appreciate my fancy pointing.
I believe we were standing about right here. Just off the steps.
Those are steps that lead up to that porch, sir?
Yes, yes, sir. And I believe myself and Cody and Captain Malfino were all in this area. And Lieutenant Williamson was kind of, I think he was with us too. And then Detective Powell was coming out of that's the door to the residence.
Right, so while you're standing and you got the pointer, where's all the cars you guys, did y'all park it on the lawn, or were y'all out on the street? Where were all those patrol cars?
Most of us were out on the street. I don't believe any of us were parked in the driveway. We were all parked on the street.
Were they all unmarked like your car, or were they patrol cars? Because I've been using that term. I want to make sure I get the right term.
I believe all of us were in unmarked vehicles at that time. I'm not positive.
All right, thank you. Get yourself readjusted there.
Yeah.
All right, so he's detained, but he's standing at the foot of those stairs.
Yes, sir.
When was he moved from there into a vehicle?
It was some while later. We stayed right there with him for, I don't know the exact time. It was later. But we stayed there for pretty good. I would just have to guess maybe 15-30 minutes.
Okay.
We didn't want to put him in a patrol car just yet.
All right, so do you agree with Detective Powell's statement that once he backed out, a decision was made to get a search warrant?
I believe that's what was discussed, sir.
And that Detective Powell stayed on scene? And is it true that you left to go and help interview Mr.
Yeah.
Arnold?
Yeah, eventually, I went back to the office, with, Williamson.
So let's cover what eventually means.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I know we stayed outside. We didn't really move from that spot. We may have, I think maybe we had let him move over to one of those trucks and sit on the tailgate, maybe, for a little while. I know we were waiting on, Captain Kelly to get there because she was wanting to do the GSR test.
Thank you.
We were wanting her to do the GSR test.
And that GSR test, gunshot residue, correct?
Yes, sir.
You observed that collection by Captain Sue Kelly.
Yes, sir.
She swabbed who?
Cody Arnold. I personally saw her, swab Cody Arnold's.
Do you know if she did his dad as well?
Not firsthand. I'll have to look at someone else's report.
It's okay.
I stayed with Cody. So.
Right. They've heard from Miss Kelly, so I should say Captain Kelly. All right, so and thank you. You reiterated one of my points. I wanted to make sure. I think whenever I asked you, you didn't actually bring him to the sheriff's office.
I don't believe so. I don't believe I transported them.
I think you had to stop off somewhere before you got there. Go ahead.
I believe Captain Kelly's assistant at the time, had gotten very sick. And so I left and, transported that person back to her, to the car.
Take a look at page 3 of your report, sir.
Oh, okay. Yes, we did. I'm sorry. I came back. We picked up Cody.
Okay, so I think you took that other individual away from the scene and came back,
Yes.
and you helped transfer Cody Arnold to
Yes.
the station for questioning. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, so
Several years.
why y'all write reports? Before we really leave the scene and go to that section, sir, did his demeanor change any more than what we've already talked with the jury? His being Cody Arnold.
I'm sorry, you mean his demeanor changed from the first interaction to after he was placed in handcuffs or during that time?
Right, so we've covered his demeanor initially,
Mhm.
how that changed when he was detained.
Yes, sir.
Before he left and went to the station, because I know you observed him at the station because you were part of his first interview, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was there any other change before we get to there in his demeanor?
I would say whenever we first detained him, we were on the drive to the apartment.
I'm gonna segue from there for a moment, sir. Let's go back to. We'll talk about that little specialty you have.
Gunshot residue testing happens fast for a reason. GSR, particles of burned and unburned gunpowder, can wash off hands, rub off on clothing, or degrade within hours. Texas law doesn't require police to obtain a warrant for this swabbing since it's non-invasive and evidence dissipates quickly. The 15-30-minute roadside wait? That's investigators preserving forensic evidence before it disappears.
And I know you're not labeled that way, but I'm referencing now your trained skill that you have with cell phones, social media, data collection, things of that nature.
Yes.
I'm pretty positive every jury, without looking over at them, has a cell phone, right? We pretty much all do.
Yes, sir.
Law enforcement takes certain steps whenever you have a cell phone that you consider may have some valuable evidence. Describe to them what takes place in that regard.
On a major scene like this, when we know there's going to be lots of investigations, a lot of times what the first things I like to do is try and locate social media profiles. And one of the first things I'll do is try and send a preservation to that company, just to make sure that someone doesn't log in on behalf of someone else, or someone that we haven't located yet doesn't start deleting and wiping all of their data, from the online servers that Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or whoever happens to hold whatever we're looking at.
Right, let me stop you there, because you're using a term that you and I are familiar with, that preservation. It actually means something from a law enforcement legal standpoint as well with the social media. Tell them what that is and what's involved.
Yes, well, for Facebook and Instagram specifically, they're both owned by a company called Meta, and they have a law enforcement portal that officers can use, and we can submit legal preservations, their orders, instructing them that the located profile that we've identified is subject to an investigation, and that we're ordering them to preserve everything. We normally give a specific time period, but to preserve all the data they have for that account.
So basically, it sounds like it just puts a freeze on the accounts.
Yes, they can still add stuff. Just because we preserve someone's account, they can still update their status and make calls. It's just that nothing can get deleted, and it's
So why do we do that?
to preserve evidence. A lot of people use social media to talk to each other, to talk about, activities they're involved in. And there's, depending on which social media site they use, sometimes there's a lot of location information, depending on how they kind of have their account set up.
So Detective Staggs, you said you early on this idea of identifying social media. I mean, the first page of your report sounds like you were immediately. So how soon, once you got involved?
On Monday, the 28th.
So this was Sunday evening when it all starts at Kuiper Road, and you're telling me that the next morning, in less than 12 hours, you've got.
Yes,
Oh, maybe it's a little bit more than 12 hours.
If I recall correctly, normally I attach a copy of the preservation to the report. I believe that by the time we finished notifying the victim's father. We did the death notification as soon as we left the jail. Late Sunday night on the Sunday or Monday morning, we notified him the sun was coming up by the time we notified him. I think I went home, took a shower, got something to eat, and I think I was back at the office probably by 10 or 11, and it would have been sometime Monday morning, Monday lunch.
That preservation letter, where did you send on which people's content?
On Cody Arnold, Chelsea Shipp, and Kate Stone.
So all of the three people that were kind of identified involved in this situation, from the decedent to the two actors, you preserved their content.
It was their Facebook accounts.
As to each one.
Yes.
I'm going to pause for a moment there. We're going to come back to that. As your investigation continues, did you ever obtain a cell phone that was owned and connected to Cody Arnold?
I did not. At this time, I wasn't doing the cell phone dumps. We were using different agency contact with it.
Detective Staggs, if they got that information, they'd have ran it by you, wouldn't they?
I know I looked at. I honestly don't recall how I wasn't certified in doing the phone dumps as I am now.
Let me help you out. Go to page 18 of your 20-page report. I see an entry around April 5th of 2022. Frame in this investigation, y'all were still looking for cell phones attributed to Chelsea Shipp and Cody Arnold.
Yes, we're still.
So if we just look at the last 2 pages of your report, do you see any other reference to cell phones from them?
Yeah, we located, I don't know, I was kind of notified, they had reason to believe that some phones may be, but, I wasn't part of the investigation and finding out that information. I was kind of told about it. And so I went and helped serve that search warrant, and we located several cell phones at that trailer.
There in his truck when the search warrant was ran on Stony Arsenal. Some 3 different cell phones. All right. So I had a timeout. Now we're going to go back to the Facebook information. As to Miss Caitlin Stone's cell phone. Specifically, and I use the wrong word, I want to talk about the Facebook content I asked you to review.
Yes, sir.
Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
And that information was with the sheriff's office. You've reviewed all that.
Yes, it's
Tell us in general what we're looking at on somebody's social media content like that.
depending on how long someone's had a Facebook account, it could be gigabytes, it could be almost a terabyte of data that Facebook can provide. It's scary how much data they keep on you just for having a Facebook account. But the most useful thing that we look at as an investigator, we'll look at sent and received messages, because a lot of people, specifically younger people that may not always have data on their phone or have an active calling plan, a lot of people tend to use Facebook Messenger instead of sending text messages. And it kind of evolves. People used to use Facebook Messenger a lot, a lot of Instagram messaging. Snapchat messaging. And we deal with TikTok messaging sometimes, but, a lot of people use Facebook Messenger as a primary way to communicate sometimes instead of text messages. And so there can be a lot of valuable information as to who people were talking to, when they were talking to them, and what they were talking about.
So I asked you specifically to review that to see if there was any Facebook Messenger content between Caitlin Stone and Cody Arnold.
Yes, yes, sir.
And you could look not only from her standpoint, but you could also look from his standpoint. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, sir. We can, the return for his account and the return for her account contain the same messages and then message thread between the two accounts.
And that was part of the information you obtained after the preservation letters that we talked to the jury about, right?
Yes, sir.
Was Ms. Stone talking about whether or not she may have been pregnant the month before this incident?
Yes, there were several messages, 20 days to a month possibly.
Did she go back and forth saying some days she thought she was, some days she thought she wasn't?
Yes,
And was that with other individuals besides Mr. Arnold?
yes,
Were there some specifically that she had in conversations with him roughly 10 days before this incident?
yes, she discussed needing to go take a pregnancy test.
What was the date of that conversation?
I believe it was March 16th.
And what was the extent of that conversation?
The spelling was very bad, but it
Well,
implied,
isn't it cryptic when people message?
sometimes it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I mean, they don't type out a formal essay to a court, do they?
Correct.
No. All right, so what was her language? What'd she say?
She was implying that her mom told her that she needed to take a pregnancy test because.
In a message with Mr. Arnold?
Yes,
Because again, I want to make sure we're dealing only with messages to this defendant.
yes,
There was another conversation that occurs within a week after that you found, correct?
yes, sir.
What was the date of that message?
On March 22nd,
And what was the content of that message?
Cody Arnold had texted Stone, that he loved her and they were looking forward to what was coming. And I believe he said it was, a baby, marriage, and love till death.
A baby, a marriage, and love till death on March 22nd.
Yes, sir.
Now, surrounding that content around that message was Miss Stone, well, I don't know another way to say it. Was she posting a lot of pictures of baby clothes?
She sent Cody a lot of pictures of different, I guess onesies, kind of like little newborn. I don't know if there's a better term for it. I call it a onesie, but the little small little newborn clothes.
So
She sent them 12, 16, stuff of that nature.
a lot of those different kinds of pictures.
Yes, sir.
Did it seem like she was shopping for outfits or something along those lines?
Yes, sir. Which,
Did it stick out to you with your law enforcement training that that's something you took note of?
yes, sir.
Was that conversation then on March 22nd for them through Facebook Messenger, the last one about that type of content?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Digital evidence rules are surprisingly old school at their core. Under the federal rules of evidence, social media posts must be authenticated just like any paper document. Someone has to testify they came from a real account, not a fake. The detective here is doing exactly that, connecting specific messages to specific dates and specific people. Without this foundation, the jury would never see Caitlin's baby clothes photos or Cody's love till death message.
Was that March 22nd the last message between Caitlin Stone and Cody Arnold about a baby or pregnancy or anything along those lines?
I believe the picture,
So following,
22nd and 23rd, I believe. That's when she sent all the pictures of the baby clothes.
Kind of following it up to the,
Following up to the message from the 16th that she needed to go take a test.
well, didn't it also follow that conversation from the 22nd where he was saying, I love you, the baby, it's gonna be us till death?
Yes, sir.
Anything after the March 23rd date?
Between this evening about the babies or pregnancy too much. There was a lot of messages.
Okay, let's, I want to go to his interview that occurs at the station after.
Four zero one two seven, state of Texas. All parties are present and the jury is seated in the courtroom. The state may continue its interrogation of this witness.
You say interrogation on purpose?
Questioning.
Thank you, Judge. All right, I hope I'm not making you feel like you're being interrogated, Detective.
Now,
Synonym to question.
Yes, sir.
Um,
All right, first off, I think I got a little ahead of myself, Detective. I'm gonna go back to the scene, and what I want to visit with you now before I finish my examination with you is primarily I'm interested in statements that occurred even on the scene. That's why I feel like I got ahead. We missed some things that happened on the scene, all right? Then we're gonna pick up with stuff that happens at the station, okay? So I'm gonna direct you just to try to help you out a little bit. Let's go to when Mr. Arnold is detained on the scene. You described for the jury that he was here,
yes, sir.
right around the footsteps of this trailer. Once he's detained, there's a legal step that takes place. And I'm pretty positive every one of them have heard this term. Was he given his Miranda rights?
Yes, sir.
And because we got to make sure the record's clear, tell them what Miranda rights are.
It is a notification given to persons when they are detained during custody, notifying them of their constitutional rights. I'm sure you've all heard it on TV, you have the right to remain silent, and then you say that whole spiel that you see detectives do all the time on TV shows. It's important because you have to notify people. We have the obligation to notify people that are detained and in custody of their legal rights, to have a lawyer present, that they don't have to talk to us. He was read all of those warnings.
And to be clear about that, that is after Detective Pell exits from this residence
Yes, sir.
and motions for him to be detained.
Yes, sir.
He's detained, which means placed in handcuffs. After he's given those warnings, did somebody, first off, did he indicate that he understood them?
Yes, sir.
And you overheard those warnings and that response, yes?
Yes, sir.
Because again, just set the stage for the jury. You're standing. Is that when his demeanor changed that we talked about?
And then as he was being read his Miranda rights, you kind of see his facial expressions changing a little bit.
Did somebody ask him how it is that his girlfriend ended up in the bedroom whenever he said she wasn't there?
Your Honor, if he's gonna testify to that, I object to hearsay. What someone else.
Let me elicit the defendant's responses, Judge, which are the nature of admissions, specifically after he's been Mirandized.
All right. Your objection is going to be overruled. The jury has to understand the context of whatever answers that were made. And for that purpose only, any statements that might be classified as hearsay are allowed only for the purposes of giving the context for the jury to understand what the defendant was answering to, not for the truth of any matter that the other statement, the other party's statement was making. Does the jury understand the instruction the court is giving to you? They're nodding in unison, and I trust the jury. Go forward.
So to kind of help you where I'm at, I'm looking at bottom of page 2 of your report.
Yes, sir.
So the way I'm reading that, and the way I understand things is, it sounds like somebody after he's detained starts questioning him.
Before we even mentioned the dead body.
Yes, sir.
He was asked why does he know why he's being detained?
Okay.
Um,
What was his response?
He said that Chelsea Shipp killed his girlfriend.
And was he asked how she killed his girlfriend?
Yeah, he said that Ms. Shipp walked into his bedroom when they got back from the beach.
Let me pause you there. Because that's going to become, I believe that's going to be relevant with some questioning you asked him at the station. He tells you that Ms. Shipp walked into his bedroom when they got back from the beach,
Yes, sir.
right? He had a follow-up statement. What was that follow-up statement?
He opened the door and saw Chelsea Shipp standing in his bedroom with 2 hands on a gun, and then he heard the gunshot and he freaked out. It was the way he said it, just ran away.
Thank you for going one statement at a time. So if the implication is that he wasn't there, he didn't know what was going on, does that contradict this particular statement right there that
The way he said it, it sounded like he was kind of standing in the door.
you heard him say he walked through that door in State's Exhibit 10?
And
Your Honor,
you
he
have to
knows.
speak out.
Well, hold on. Objection, Judge, unless he knows what door, or he said what door he walked through, I object.
Is there another door to this bedroom?
I've never been inside that bedroom. I don't know.
So the phrase that you had, that he said again, let's repeat it. Read that sentence again.
He opened the door and saw Shipp standing in the bedroom with 2 hands on the gun.
Finish the sentence. There was more.
Sorry. And then he said he heard a pop and he ran out and was freaked out.
So you didn't go back there. You don't know if it was that door I showed.
I don't know what door he was referring to. Or how many doors are in that bedroom.
Did that ever come up at any point in time in the rest of the conversations on scene or when you interviewed him down at the sheriff's office? You didn't see this in States 9, but that's the door that goes into Cody's room. You didn't go in.
No.
You wouldn't know if
I've never
that's
been in.
true.
I don't know what door he's referring to.
Right. But from that description, whether you'd seen the bedroom or not, would you believe that he was at least in that room or could see what was going on in that room?
From that initial statement, yes,
Okay.
made it very evident that he saw it.
When he was asked why she would do this, what did he say?
He said that he kept using the phrase and uses. I believe the term he said was she was, pardon my language, that she was bullshitting and talking all kinds of mad crazy shit while they were at the beach. I believe he first said it might have been around 9 or 10 a.m.
Did he indicate that she stayed in that same place or was she moved?
No, he said the body was still lying in the same place that he had.
Did he indicate if he told anybody else about this? Did it sound like that was right before y'all got there?
Yes,
Is that pretty much the extent of what was talked about at the scene after he was Mirandized?
yes, sir. Decided that we need to bring it to the office and do an interview.
Miranda warnings aren't magic words. They're a constitutional checkpoint. Under Miranda v. Arizona, 384 U.S. 436, 1966, police must notify suspects of their right to silence and counsel before custodial interrogation. But here's what the movies miss. Once warned, anything a suspect voluntarily says can be used against them. Cody Arnold's Chelsea should have killed his girlfriend statement came after he was Mirandized and agreed to talk. That makes it admissible, not protected.
A formal interview, right? So tell the jury the difference between that out on the scene talking to somebody after the Mirandized to a more formal statement. What's the difference?
Our interview room is a recorded room and it has, sound buffering, I guess you would call it, on the walls to try and make the audio more clear for it to be able to capture everything, when you're out on the scene. You don't have control of the environment. There could be barking dogs, there could be other detectives. You know, like I said, there's at least 6 of us there. We're all talking, so myself and Lieutenant Williamson were trying to talk to Cody. Other people were talking. I'm sure people were on the phone calling people higher up than them, kind of explaining what was going on. It's just not a very controlled environment.
So about what time do we get to the sheriff's office?
Just after midnight, I believe.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah, 12:11 a.m. I believe is when we started speaking to an interview.
All right, so I believe your office is next door to where we're at right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and the sheriff actually has offices here next to the courthouse, as well as offices next to the jail out on 69.
Yes, sir. There are some offices at the jail next 69, but that is the training division and mostly all the jail.
Administrative,
Yeah,
that type of
all
thing.
most of the law enforcement side, patrol and investigations, all this office downtown.
Right, so next door to where we're all at right now, yes?
Yes, sir.
And about what time was that?
12:11 a.m.
So once he was brought here, who all was present for his interview?
Myself and Lieutenant Williamson.
Did y'all again Mirandize him?
Yes, sir.
Did he confirm that he lived at that address we've been looking at where the trailer is?
He confirmed he had been staying there. He confirmed that's his father's address. I don't know if he's staying or was staying with another family member off of East Lane for a little while too. Kind of going back and forth, I believe.
Did y'all affirm with Mr. Arnold that Caitlin Stone was 16 years old?
Yes, sir. He wasn't sure of her date of birth, but he knew that she was 16.
Right, that's the thing I want to make certain of, sir. He knew whenever y'all visited with him that this lady was 16 years old. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all talk to him about his relationship with her?
Yes, sir.
Did he tell how
He's a neighbor of his family member on East Lane that he had been friends with. And her grandfather had asked him to reach out to her. I guess through Facebook. And that's how they initially made contact, him trying to reach out to her on behalf of her grandfather.
did y'all then talk with him about what the connection was with Chelsea Ship?
Yes.
What did he say there?
He knew of her mutual friend, I believe his friend dated her aunt. That's how they met.
With Caitlin Stone.
Yes, sir.
And let's be specific about it. Having a 21-year-old man having a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old.
Yes, sir. He
From
admitted that, yes, sir.
a law enforcement standpoint, what crime is that?
Would be statutory rape. And she's not old enough to give consent.
It's called sexual assault?
Sexual assault, yes.
Yeah, I understand, but that's the term within the law,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, in the penal code, sexual assault.
So did he admit to a romantic relationship with Chelsea Ship?
He denied it. We asked him about that several times. He always denied it. He said that he wouldn't say no or wouldn't turn her down if she wanted to, but he always denied having a relationship with her.
And y'all questioned him not only, well, you were only involved in the first interview. I'm going to keep my comments to that. Y'all came back and asked him that on more than one occasion, right?
Yes, sir.
And he stayed consistent with that.
Yes, sir. He always denied a relationship with her.
Did you question him about what happened when Chelsea found out this girl was 16?
Yes.
The detective's testimony reveals a critical pattern. Arnold admits to the statutory offense with the 16-year-old while consistently denying involvement with Chelsea Ship. This selective admission strategy, confessing to a lesser crime while distancing from the homicide, is exactly what interrogators expect. Under Michigan law, a 21-year-old cannot legally consent to sexual activity with a 16-year-old, making Arnold's admission to that relationship legally significant, regardless of his denials about Ship.
What was said?
We discussed it a couple different times throughout the night, because he kept talking about how Chelsea was talking mad crazy, as he put it. When
Kind of like the statement on the scene, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Throughout
The yeah, okay nod becomes devastating evidence. Arnold's claim that he was zoned out on his phone while Chelsea discussed eliminating Caitlin Strain's credibility, especially since he later clarified details that suggest he was listening more carefully than admitted. This pattern of incremental disclosure, where suspects revise stories only when pressed, is what detectives call testing the water. The prosecutor is building a case for accomplice liability. Even if Arnold didn't pull the trigger, knowing about the plan and doing nothing can make him legally responsible.
course of the week or the weekend that the three of them were together, they dropped Miss Stonewall back at Cody's house, his father's house on Cobb's Corner. And then Cody and Chelsea went to her residence, which was an RV down at Crystal Beach in Rollover, I believe. And they were there for several hours, and that is when Chelsea found out that Caitlin was only 16. And that's when, according to Ms. Rollins, when she started freaking out, and started kind of raising hell about it and discussing Cody being 21 and Caitlin being 16.
All this is going on. Is it true that Mr. Arnold admitted to using meth,
Yes,
stating that both him and Chelsea used it
very often that weekend.
through the entire weekend?
Yes, sir.
No reason for us to believe that Caitlin used any kind of meth, right?
I believe, but other things, but she had stopped whenever they thought they were expecting a baby.
All right, so during this first initial interview, he made comment that she stopped doing any kind of drugs when she thought she might be pregnant.
Yes,
And again, that's all before this killing.
settle down after this weekend and get a steady job and start taking care of Caitlin, get ready for the baby.
Did that seem to imply that he thought he was going to be a dad?
Yes,
Mr. Arnold, about the 380 that was used?
yes, we asked him about the firearm.
Maybe he identified the 380. You asked about the gun.
Yes, I believe he said he thought it was a 380. That's how he wasn't certain, but
So speaking of being uncertain, you weren't necessarily certain who pulled the trigger here, were you?
no, sir.
Did you question Mr. Arnold as to whether or not he was the one that killed her?
Yes, sir.
What was his response?
He said no.
Was he adamant about that like everything else?
Yes, sir.
Did you then, I'm going to direct you, I'm moving on to about around page 6 of your report. Towards the front part of it. Were there some statements that Mr. Arnold made that led you to believe he knew about some things going on before and after the shooting?
Yes, sir. When we were having him kind of give a timeline of the weekend, when he described the time that him and Chelsea were alone at her RV at the beach, when he first kind of discussed that timeline and talked about Chelsea finding out Caitlin's age and getting very upset. The first time he discussed it, he said she was talking all sorts of noise and he wasn't paying attention, but he said he was just telling her, yeah, okay, sounds good, kind of agreeing with her. He knew what he knew. He acted like he stated that he wasn't paying attention. He was just nodding along and telling her yes, just to go along with it, but that he was just focused on his phone, listening to music. And then later in the night, we had.
Let me stop you there because I really want to focus in on the before.
Okay.
So when before, and I'm putting this in reference to how Mr. Arnold explained it to you all.
Yes, sir.
The before is when he and Chelsea were at the beach.
When they were alone at the beach.
They were using meth by his admissions. And is this when, according to him, that Chelsea learns that Caitlin is 16 years old,
Yes, sir.
that she starts freaking out that he's going to be in trouble
Yes, sir.
about the law that we were talking about that you violate, you're going to be a sex offender, right?
Yes, sir.
And his response to y'all questioning that is he wasn't really paying attention, he was flipping through his phone?
That was his first description of the events, that he wasn't paying attention. He was zoned out, listening to music on his phone. And he was just telling her, yeah, okay, and just nodding along with her.
So him nodding along to her by his admissions was her saying, what was she going to do?
He later clarified that she was telling him that he's going to be in a lot of trouble because Caitlin was 16 and that they had to get rid of Caitlin.
So there was discussion at the beach from Mr. Arnold's own statements to you in the first interview that based upon the age and the trouble that they were going to get into, that Chelsea was going to get rid of that girl for him.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other way to understand it other than killing her?
I do not believe so. I believe we actually used the words. We asked him if Chelsea discussed killing Caitlin
In his response?
before she shot her. He responded that, she was again talking about all kind of crazy stuff and he wasn't paying attention. But then he kind of started recounting their conversation. He said that he had to get rid of her before he gets in trouble, and that she would take care of her. And even though he allegedly wasn't paying attention, he told her that he told her that she didn't need to, and was justifying the relationship, saying it was okay somehow, and that she'd given him consent.
Yeah, he started talking about consent at that stage, right?
Yes. Was trying to downplay the age to Chelsea. She discussed.
All right, detective, I'm gonna segue there for a moment.
Notice how the detective treats Mac as a lead to verify, not gospel truth. This is corroboration in action. When a suspect names someone, police must find that person and check their story. Finding surveillance video at the dollar store turned a nickname into hard evidence. Under Texas rules of evidence, this kind of independent verification strengthens whatever Mac eventually testifies to, because it shows Cody really did seek advice that Sunday.
Pause about the information that you're learning. Whenever you have interviewed people that you believe are suspects, are there some common interview techniques that you use with individuals to test whether or not they're telling you the truth?
And now there are. At this time I was still kind of new and was not as experienced as I am now, but yes, sir.
Do y'all use that? Yeah, I know every one of them. I'm not gonna make eye contact, but they've all heard about good cop, bad cop. Y'all do that?
Not like you see on TV.
Okay. Are there times in which you will ask witnesses and suspects information that you already know the answer to see if they're being honest with you?
Yes,
Is there times in which you will lie to suspects to see if you can gather the truth?
yes, sir.
In other words, by that I'm bluff that you've got evidence that you don't have.
Yes, sir.
Is that also a common technique?
Yes, sir.
And there's a reason behind that. Yes?
Yes, sir.
It's part of the training, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So at this stage, we're going to segue back now to you're talking to Mr. Arnold, you and Detective Williamson. He's telling you about these events. As generally speaking, are individuals that are ultimately involved in criminal cases, are they always truthful about the facts and information they give you?
Most people aren't truthful about their involvement. Most people always deny their criminal involvement or culpability.
Do they try to distance themselves
They try
from
to
it?
distance themselves from the scene, from the person.
Do
It
they
was a big shock to me when I became a police officer, because I guess I didn't grow up around a lot of the criminal side of the world. I was kind of sheltered, but I learned very quickly that most people lie to police about everything.
And they minimize
Yes, they try and minimize their involvement.
and they distance.
Yes, sir. Distance themselves from any culpability or responsibility for the criminal acts that occurred.
Is that why you have to be somewhat confrontational with individuals?
Yes, sir.
When they say, hey, I wasn't there, but there's a video that shows you were there,
Yes, sir.
right? Is there often times when suspects or witnesses will say, well, tell me what you got and I'll answer some of your questions?
Yes, sir. That happens quite often.
Yeah. Here, when you and Detective Williamson are talking to Mr. Arnold, he admits that there's something going on, that there's conversations taking place, that there's knowledge about the 16-year-old, right?
Yes, sir.
Knowledge about the legal ramifications,
Yes, sir.
some explanations, the consent discussion that you talked about,
Yes, sir.
and the blaming about the crazy talk from Ship, right?
Yes, sir.
Does he ever point blank say, hey, yeah, I knew what was going to happen and I was a part of it?
No, sir. There's no.
The detective's frustration reveals something prosecutors love and defense attorneys fear: an investigator who personally invested in breaking through lies. His "you wouldn't do this to your own dog" confrontation was risky. Courts scrutinize whether emotional appeals coerce false confessions, but here Cody kept talking. Under Miranda, once rights are waived, police can use moral appeals and even deception. The line is physical coercion or promises of leniency, neither of which happened here.
So we talked about before, there was some discussions about what he was telling y'all after. Do you remember?
For you after the murder.
Yes.
Okay.
What did he say? After Stone was killed, what did he say?
He said that he just ran out of the room and was freaked out, and didn't know what to do. Several times he mentioned, he just kept using meth to try and forget about it. And he was just kind of numb from the whole scenario. And we discussed his actions afterwards.
Let's stop there. Actions afterwards. We know, or you're working with a belief that the body was found in his bedroom, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you working with the belief that he had left that body there for, let's just say, 24 hours?
Yes, sir.
Is that bothering you, Detective?
Yes, sir.
Are you and Detective Williamson trying to push him to see, hey, why'd you leave that girl here for this long?
Yes, sir. From an investigative standpoint, but more so just from like a personal standpoint, I believe it was almost offensive to me.
Yes, sir.
As he was telling us how much he loved this girl and how they were, they were in love and they were going to have a baby and they were planning this life together, and how much he cared for her and how much he was shocked and hurt by her killing, but that he didn't do anything about it. And he didn't try, even by his own admissions, which I just had to take his statements at face value. I don't know if he was telling us the truth on those admissions.
Is that one that you kind of question his credibility there?
Yes, sir.
Because of how it impacted you morally?
Yes, sir.
What would you expect the average individual to do if there was a dead person in their bedroom that somebody else killed?
Call the police.
And is that why y'all kept pushing him about that?
Yes, sir. We kept pushing him over why she was there for over,
All right, so let me go back. I'm on your second paragraph of page 6. Right? Did y'all actually confirm with Mr. Arnold the whole issue of whether or not she was pregnant?
He said that she had taken several pregnancy tests and they had been telling people that she was pregnant. They were under the assumption that she was pregnant because at least one of those tests was positive.
So at least one test was positive and they were...
At least one test was positive. They were telling people and he believed that she was.
Staying with that same paragraph, sir. You asked him if he actually talked to anyone else.
Yes, sir.
And he admitted talking to an individual that I think you got a nickname. What was that person?
Yes, sir. He called him Mac.
What do you say about Mac?
He said he talked to us on what to do. We had him try and describe who Mac is. He said he was just an older guy from the Fournette area that he had, I guess, known from school. And ran into him at the store when we went to get some cigarettes Sunday afternoon. And he asked Mac what to do. He said that he told Mac exactly what happened, and Mac had told him to call the police or get rid of her.
So if the jury has heard from someone with a nickname Mac, they told the same type of thing, that sounds like it matches, right?
Yes.
And you actually found that witness for us, didn't you?
Yes, just kind of going by, Cody didn't know his real name. He just kind of knew where he lived. And, just doing a little investigating and digging, we found out that I believe his name is Charles Eiley. Or Illy,
Eileen.
Eiley. We found out that his name is Charles Eiley, but everyone calls him that. And, I actually located him at his house. Found him, talked to him for a brief moment at his residence, and ended up bringing back the office to where he gets statement.
Now, again, so you and I know that whenever a name comes up in interviews like this, that one of the things you do is follow-up investigation, right? If somebody, for example, if you're interviewing me about whether or not I killed my girlfriend last night, and I tell you I was with XYZ, you're going to go talk to XYZ to see if I actually have an alibi, right? It's part of the follow-up.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you did with this individual, Mac, trying to locate him, trying to
Yes.
follow up, determine truth, veracity, things of that nature?
Yes, sir. Follow up and see if he could confirm this story about Cody running into him at the dollar store.
Actually found video there too, didn't you?
Yes,
Who turns out to be Charles Eileen.
yes, sir.
Video that you saw there.
We spend a lot of time trying to figure out people's real names. Part of the job.
Sometimes you don't even get a name, you just get a description and place that they hang out, right? Yeah. I'm gonna go to
The defense attorney is threading two narratives together, a statutory rape defense and a relationship defense. Texas law does contain a Romeo and Juliet provision if the age gap is under 3 years. Consensual sex between minors isn't prosecuted. But that protection vanishes once one party turns 21. The attorney knows this doesn't legally apply here, so he's pivoting to jury sympathy, framing Cody and Caitlin as a couple with genuine feelings, not a predator and victim.
top of page 8. Detective Williamson asked if Cody and Chip made plans to get rid of the body. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
What was his response?
He said that he didn't. It was kind of,
You've got it in quotes in your
he
report.
said his exact words were, I mean, no, I didn't.
And you quoted that in your report for a reason.
Yes, sir.
Why?
It's in. He may not have necessarily made the plan himself, but kind of was aware of some kind of plan.
Those were that's the impression you were left with, correct?
Yes, sir.
Those are, during this interview, especially after the admissions about the meth, did he appear to be sober?
I hadn't, as far as from alcohol, I would say he was sober. I don't know his kind of baseline temperament. I couldn't tell you if I ever spoke to him before that day. I haven't spoken to him since. So I don't really know his baseline, how he normally acts. He didn't appear. I had a lot of dealing with people that were high on that, like very high, and strung out. He didn't appear that he was that high.
Did
He
he?
was talking in circles. Sometimes he would kind of go back and forth. His recollection would change throughout the night. So I don't know if he was just being deceptive and was searching for answers, or if possibly it was, it was a side effect of all the drug use from the weekend. It's kind of coming off of it.
So I think from my notes here and just from seeing the interview, y'all were with him for about 2.5 hours.
Yes, sir.
Did his
Irritated throughout the night, I would say. Especially as I know I kind of let my temper get the best of me near the end. and I kind of got a lot more confrontational.
Well, since you brought that up, what were you mad about?
Um,
It's okay, you're human. You can tell them what it was.
It just seemed. I just couldn't believe the story I was getting fed. It was very obvious he was lying about a lot of things too. You can't love someone and care about them so much, but then watch someone shoot them and not do anything about it. And I don't see how someone, whether you cared about the person or not, I don't see how someone could just let a body lay in their bed for over a day.
If I remember right, you confronted him and said you wouldn't even do that to your own dog.
Yeah, I believe I couldn't understand how he didn't even try and stop it. I believe the exact thing I said was, if someone put a gun to my wife's head or my kid's head, or hell, even my own dog, you'd have to kill me to stop me from, preventing from hurting you. If you were doing that to my dog,
Right.
much less one of my, my wife or my kids or someone I cared about. And so the fact that he kept repeating the love story, and then that it
Got the better of you.
got the better of me, sir.
All right, so let's.
The defense attorney is executing a classic credibility attack, the detective's interpretation versus the objective video record. Under the federal rules of evidence, lay witnesses can offer opinions only if rationally based on perception, not substitute for the jury's own eyes. The attorney wants jurors to distrust the detective's narrative and trust themselves instead.
Make sure the jury knows the rest of the work you did that night. You did actually talk to his father.
Yes, sir.
You conducted that interview. He's not around anymore. Mr. Arnold has passed. You're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
And then from that night, we talked about how media.
Yes, sir.
And then I think even after that, you got involved with the sheriff's office efforts, not only to continue doing further investigation, but specifically the work we had to go to locate Miss Ship.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a lot to try and find her. And then, I didn't sleep a night. Didn't sleep hardly at all from Sunday to midnight, Friday morning.
Is there a lot of truth to the fact that when something like this happens, you work as hard as you can, as quickly as you can to resolve things?
Yes.
And y'all were successful in getting her into custody, I think, by the 31st, if memory serves right.
I believe it was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. And the 31st.
Either March 30th or the 31st.
Yeah, we left Southeast Texas.
They're in Liberty Hill, Williamson County, correct?
Yeah.
And those fine folks there helped us out to resolve that as well.
Yes, sir. That's fair.
That's witness.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Again. Detective, if you don't understand my questions, stop me, okay?
Yes, sir.
You went up, let's kind of maybe go backwards a little bit. You went up to Austin because they had placed Ship into custody, correct?
I went as part of, with the team to try and place her into custody.
Well, she was in custody. You went to interview her, at the Williamson County Jail.
Later, I mean, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And, she talked to you?
No.
No. Then anybody that talked to her during that investigation, that period of time?
Speak to us and one lawyer.
She lawyered up.
I don't think she's ever.
Cody Arnold. At the scene, you gave him his rights?
Detective Williamson, that, I was there.
And you waived them. Talked to you, right? You then eventually, you and Detective Williamson brought him down to your office here, right?
Yes, sir.
Read him his rights again.
Yes, sir.
He waived them.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you asked, you want a lawyer? You want to stop anytime? No, I want to talk to you.
For that, but I was told that, yes, he called us, he called from the jail, wanted to speak to a detective.
Didn't even want his attorney there.
I was there, but.
Well, I mean,
Told.
when somebody's in jail for a period of time, do you realize they get court appointed an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And talk to you. Right?
Yeah, I talked to, I believe, Williamson.
So,
At the end of our first interview, the only interview I really wasn't, because I really wanted to do that for a lawyer.
but then he came back later on and said,
Came back later.
yeah,
apparently,
come on. Okay.
From what I was told.
And I guess that was at the time that you kind of got a little bit upset with him.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The basis of this that I understand is that because she was expecting a child, and that's Caitlin, that's the reason why she was killed. Right?
Because Cody would be in trouble
Okay.
for her expecting a child.
And you realize that Chelsea has already pled guilty to this, right?
That is what I was told.
And it's accepted and pled guilty to murder. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Still hasn't talked to anybody. To your knowledge.
She would call my office. So,
You made some interesting comments. One is that when you talk to Cody, he said she found out when we went to the beach that Saturday, I guess, whatever it was, just her and him when they hung out at Rollover Pass. She found out the true age of Caitlin. So I take it prior to that, she didn't even know how old she was, right?
you mean Chelsea didn't know? who
Right.
Caitlin was?
Yeah.
I would have no indication. that
Well,
she
the
found out.
indication was that based on
Indication
Cody,
that She found out
right?
that time.
Because you went into detail saying that she had looked at her Facebook, which she had many followers or a lot of people, right, on there.
I don't know the exact number.
Well, I mean, how many do you think? You're the expert.
I don't know. I didn't remember that all of this.
More than one.
More than one. Yeah,
Yeah. More than 10 or 20, right?
I would guess.
Yeah, all are friends, right? And so there was an indication that they've been planning this for weeks. Well, that was some of the testimony before you that you didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You don't have any information about that. It was weeks. Yeah,
Weeks.
okay. And you talked about, you looked on Facebook. And then somewhere around March 16th or whatever, is that when she started talking about being pregnant, or was it about the 22nd of March of 2022?
About just with her conversations with.
Yeah, on Facebook. No, on Facebook that you said something. You said something about that you knew, or a lot of people, or she was saying something about him having a baby or baby clothes or onesies or something like that.
On March 16th, I believe, was the first time I saw a message between Caitlin and Cody
Okay.
discussing her
Alright.
pregnant or need the pregnancy test.
Okay.
But there were, I want to say, I think there were a couple other people that were friends of hers that she would discuss being pregnant with maybe a little bit before that.
Okay, so she was in open discussion, and so was Cody, right? Of that she's pregnant,
Mhm.
right? Any of those Facebooks say, you need to get rid of the baby.
Off the top of my head, I don't recall what, if anyone mentioned that.
You ruined my life. No, what's testified is that baby, love, marriage till death, right? Remember testifying to that?
Yes, sir.
He was planning a life with her. He was gonna be a dad, right?
Appears to be, yes, sir.
Yeah, because when you get married, isn't it to having to hold sickness and in health to death do us part?
What I said.
Yeah. And even then, he said that this was his last weekend to party, right? Because,
That's what he said.
and that was like right then, that's that weekend that this all happened.
Yes, sir.
So it doesn't appear there was any plan of, hey, Chelsea, we need to get rid of her. Was it? Doesn't appear that way, does it?
From what I gathered from Mr. Arnold's statements, from his statement, it was that Chelsea didn't know the girl was underage until
The
a
beach.
couple hours before.
Yeah, okay. And one of the things you left out is that Mr. Ham asked you, were there other conversations on Facebook between Cody and Caitlin? And you said, oh, there were numerous. What were they about? What are you doing? How you doing? How do you feel? What's going on, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Nothing about, I don't want to see you anymore. Stay away from me. Don't call. Nothing about that. They were planning a life together, weren't they?
It seemed to be that way for at least a couple weeks. I know one of the last messages, Caitlin told Cody that her girlfriend said he was in trouble,
Okay.
but problem with a lot of Facebook messages is a lot of times there's a text message and then there's a phone call before or after. And so the next message or the message before it may not be related to that conversation, the message after it may not be related to that conversation. Reading one of the messages was her telling him that he was in trouble. So the way it's set up.
What is the educational background of Cody? Do you know how far he got in school?
I do not know.
Do you know how bright he is? Whether or not he's the sharpest tool in the shed?
Do not know.
I want to go to a little bit that Mr. Ham was talking about with you. Chelsea started freaking out down at the beach, right?
Mhm.
Saying he was going to be in trouble. He was going to be in trouble because she's 16 and he's 21. 5 years, right? There is a defense of 3 years, but after 3 years, it goes away, correct?
I do believe so.
Between the participants.
I believe so. I don't
Right.
know a lot of sex crimes.
Okay.
I try to go like you know.
And Cody says, no, I'm okay. Right? Because, well, one is, from your own testimony, Caitlin was introduced to Cody through her grandfather, right?
I believe that's how he said they met.
Yeah.
He knew her grandmother.
Well, you had the Facebook messages, right, to verify that, right? Of how they met and trying to get together, right?
I don't know how far back I read or if I can recall. I apologize.
I think
That's probably.
Yeah.
I believe there may have been some message about a grandpa.
I think you testified a little bit about that. About something about Facebook and talking and meeting up on Facebook or whatever it was.
Cody's statement was that that's how he met
Yeah,
her.
okay.
His grandfather
Well.
asked him. Her grandfather asked him
To take
to
care.
reach out to her because he wanted to talk to her.
And Caitlin had kind of a tough life, didn't she?
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Mom had gone. Did mom pass away sometime? And she didn't get along with dad.
I don't know if the mother was passed away or just
Something was going on.
But I believe she lived like with a foster family for a little while,
And then-
grandmother,
And then grandfather.
I believe so.
Yeah.
But I know dad was in federal prison for quite some time.
And ultimately, that's how he actually met, was over at grandfather's house. Did you know that? Okay. Well, that's how they met. Okay. But she said, and I know you don't do a lot of, you said sexual crimes,
Stay away from him.
but he says that she agreed with being with me, right?
That's what he said.
Okay. Well, you have anything that says that she didn't?
Nope.
That she consented, and we know that consent at 16 by law you can't do. But in people's minds, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he said she was allowed to go live with him. Allowed to go live with Cody. Well, that's what was said, right?
I believe he said something.
Yeah. Page 6, middle paragraph. Out of the first paragraph. She was allowed to live with him.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know who allowed that.
And Caitlin said, according to Cody, don't worry, you wouldn't get in trouble. Remember that?
Yeah, well, she told him not to worry.
Okay.
That's what the statement was.
But they were getting married, they were gonna have a baby, and they were gonna have a life together. Up until a couple hours before probably this all happened.
It sounds like they have that. Yes.
There's no hiding. He even told you that prior to y'all showing up at his trailer, he had been doing meth,
Yes.
right?
Well, he said the last time he used was just before 10 o'clock.
Okay.
We got there about 15.
And he was really doing meth after what happened, right?
Yes.
He was having problems. And he told you, you talked about things, and he talked.
The prosecutor here is establishing a critical point for the jury. Law enforcement doesn't control what evidence gets shown in court. Under the federal rules of evidence, the judge acts as gatekeeper, but it's the prosecutor who strategically decides which pieces to present and how. This distinction matters because defense attorneys often argue police manipulated evidence here. The prosecutor preemptively shows that investigators simply collected everything and handed it over.
He told you things, and this is before, right at the beginning of the investigation, right? When you interviewed him. I mean, you took him from the scene to your office, sat him down for an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes first time to try to get a handle on this, right?
Yes, sir.
He talked about going down and meeting up with Chelsea, correct? And Chelsea coming to his house.
I'm sorry.
When this all started, didn't he say that Chelsea came over to the house and wanted to do laundry? Cody's house.
I believe that that might have been like how it all started. She
Okay.
went to do laundry at his house. That's kind of how the whole weekend started.
And then they went down to over to Winnie or somewhere and met up with Miss Moon, Brandy Moon, and hung out there for a while.
Yes, sir.
And that panned out. That was true, right?
Yes.
Right. And then they left, and I guess they brought Caitlin home, right? Because we know Caitlin was at where she was living. There it is in picture, State's Exhibit number 12, right?
I don't know if she was living there full time, but looks like she'd been staying there for a couple of days.
Well, if there was evidence that she had been there a couple of weeks to a month, and had moved in there, you don't have anything else to say, no, that wasn't true.
I'm sorry, I don't have anything to say. Yes,
Okay.
no.
So that was true. And then they ended up back. Well, we know that Chelsea had a blue Nissan, correct?
Brandy.
But that Brandy said that Chelsea had the blue Nissan
Got it.
change trucks,
Yeah.
right? And y'all were originally called to Brandy's grandmother's house or mom's house
Somehow.
that started all this,
Yes.
right? Okay. And that panned out when you talked to Cody. I mean, he told you about whatever that was.
Yes, sir.
And then talked to you about him going down to the beach with her and saying, oh, she got on Facebook. They were down at the beach, right?
Yes, Chelsea and Cody were, from what he said, they had dropped Caitlin off back at Cody's house. And then Caitlin went to sleep, but they were still high in the net and didn't want to go to sleep, and they ended up going back to Chelsea's lobby at the beach, where it was just Chelsea and Cody to love Caitlin.
Kind of makes sense because if it happened on 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, the 26th, looks like she was sleeping in the bed. But you also ran a warrant down at the beach, right? At Roll Overpass to see if you could get any evidence.
I didn't know, I don't think that's all it's that, but I know that other detectives did.
Okay. You did that. There was testimony that she was doing the shooting and he was going to get rid of the body. It doesn't seem like there was much of a plan, was there?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. During your testimony here,
I'm gonna have to object. That's a sidebar, not a question.
during your questioning with Mr. Ham, you made a lot of inferences in reference to demeanor of Cody, what your interpretation was of what Cody meant when you all were interviewing, right?
Mhm.
Isn't it true that this was videotaped?
Yes, sir.
And so everything you testified, there was a videotape of the whole interview, right?
Whatever you reported, yes, sir.
You have your interpretation, but do you realize they are the ones, the jury, to judge the credibility and trustworthiness of the evidence and the witnesses and their testimony? You realize that as a police officer, correct?
Yes, sir.
Trier of fact. Wouldn't it be good to see that video of the interview and see whether or not your interpretation was correct when you talk to Cody now has made all these accusations of how he acted and how he didn't act, right?
Yes. What was the question? I'm
Well,
sorry.
wouldn't it be good to see the video?
Sure. I'll have to do the judging.
At the scene, when you talk to Cody, originally coming up, there were body cams.
We did not have body cameras.
Can you,
I recorded it with an old cell phone.
okay, because at some point, you or Detective Williamson said, shut off the recorder until we get back to the station.
Yes,
Instead of your interpretation of he was trying to lie to you, or he was trying to deceive you, or stay away or distance himself, wouldn't it be good to see what he looked like at that time? Show the video.
Do you know the answer?
I'm trying to figure out what you mean by the question.
Well,
What it means.
the
Watch the video.
bottom line, detective, is that you gave an full video at the actual time of what you testified about, so that they could see what he actually looked like.
Yes, sir, it's on video.
Right.
Notice how meticulously the prosecutor establishes the chain of custody. 2 separate numbering systems, Sheriff's Office and Crime Lab, create a redundant tracking system that defense attorneys can't easily attack. Under the federal rules of evidence, particularly Rule 901, Authenticating evidence requires showing it, is what the proponent claims. The prosecutor is building that foundation brick by brick before the jury ever sees the actual gun.
Warrant at Stony Arsenault's house. Were you there? The trailer, I think it was on April 6th.
I believe that, yes, sir.
And you won't realize that there were like some debit cards there in Cody Arnold's name in his black Dodge pickup truck.
So it was April 6th,
I
correct?
think it was April 6th. It was afterwards. Well, did you know that they were discovered there?
If they were listed as being discovered there, then, yeah, sure.
Do you know how or why his debit cards would be in Stony Arsenault's pickup truck?
I do not know how they wanted.
Did you ever get a cell phone from Cody Arnold?
I know we collected several phones, at that residence. I didn't, at the time, I wasn't certified and doing the forensic phone dumps, so I didn't.
In your investigation, you don't know if you ever got Cody Arnold's phone?
I honestly do not remember what all phones we got, so I wasn't doing phones then.
On the day that you went to his house, the evening,
The very first day,
states exhibit number 1. I believe you asked Cody for his phone.
yes,
He said he didn't have his phone because Kelsey took it.
yes, because phone in his pants, what was what it said.
Because you would have seized it.
Yes,
That's part of the investigation.
yes. Sees it.
Did you ever find a phone in that house, or do you know on the trailer whether or not there was ever a phone?
I never went inside that trailer. I'll have to
And-
look at the case file to see what all was.
And you don't know if any of the phones, you never got a phone dump on Cody's phone, did you?
I didn't, I wasn't processing phones then, and so I didn't dump them, and I have.
Fair enough.
I wasn't the lead detective on it, and so I didn't review all of the phones.
Remember, the jury may not be really used to listening about phone dumps and what that means. We use that a lot here in legal terms, but the jury may or may not be clued into what that means.
I will.
There were some other terms that have been used, but y'all be careful so that the jury completely understands the terminology that is used in law
Set me up.
is not necessarily what's being exposed on Law and Order episodes or other methods other than here in courtroom. Thank you.
Phone dump is you see someone's phone.
Yes, sir.
And you
We
want-
com-
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we commonly refer to it like as a phone dump. That's kind of just the generic term that everyone says, in all profession. It's what it is it is a exact copy of every bit of data that's on the phone. There are a couple of different companies and different ways to do it, but you can make an exact image of the phone, and it provides you with all the data, all the information on photos, searches, text messages,
Everything,
a ton of anything that's on your phone.
right. And sometimes you have to do it with a search warrant.
We always do it with a search warrant unless it's like someone's offering consent. They
Yeah,
give
I mean-
consent to it.
You could give a consent. And there is sometimes a problem because they could be coded. That is passwords that,
Yes, a lot of times, it seems like every time there's an update to your iPhone or Android or, every time there's an update, there's some new level of encryption that prevents us from, prevents the device and making the copy.
and the makers of the phones don't want to give that information out of how to unlock their phones.
They always say that there's a big issue with the FBI, kind of force out of us, put it back there. And it should be used.
Did you answer all my questions to the best of your ability, Detective?
Yes, sir. I apologize if I was confused on some of them.
Okay, is there anything I need to clarify because so that we don't say, oh, let me clarify this or let me try to straighten this out? I mean, what question?
I felt like you were asking my opinion on if it would be good or not to watch a video.
Yeah.
If I had somebody can qualify to say if it would be good or not.
Okay,
I
well,
feel like that's
well,
not
let
my
me,
place to say if it would be good.
well, let me ask you this, as a law enforcement officer that investigates crime, you talk to a lot of individuals, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you have video like home security cameras or audio of it that was taken at the time or shows the offense, wouldn't you agree that that's probably more accurate than maybe someone's interpretation?
Yes, sir.
And that's what I was asking you about. That if you saw the video like you today talking about an interview, if you actually saw but anything else, nothing you want to change. That's your best, that you know, but it's not your question. Okay. See you again, Detective. Subject to recall, Judge, because I may have to call him back, but I'm not sure, but
Go ahead, Sam. Reverb.
I'm gonna try to do just two brief things. We'll see. Is there
The yellow evidence tape isn't just procedure, it's legal protection. When Henley explains that broken seals mean custody was transferred, she's demonstrating compliance with chain of custody requirements that courts enforce under evidence authentication rules. A broken seal doesn't automatically kill a case, but it opens the door for defense challenges. Here, the unbroken seals become silent witnesses themselves, testifying that no one tampered with this evidence between collection and courtroom.
ever a scenario where a 16-year-old can consent to having sex with a 21-year-old adult?
No.
What are the exceptions?
If they were married or emancipated,
Married to the person.
married to the person.
Sometimes there are other jurisdictions that may allow marriages, or in another country that might allow marriages without the age requirement. Texas has the age requirement.
So this particular fact scenario, are these two parties married to? That being the 21-year-old Cody Arnold and the 16-year-old Caitlin Stone.
No, sir, there was no evidence that they were married.
All right, second matter. Who decides whether or not I'm gonna play a video or present evidence in a courtroom? Is that a your decision or a prosecutor decision?
I believe that's your decision.
Just like with photos, you get to decide what photos I'm gonna show, or do I?
No, sir.
Do you, do I determine, do you determine which pieces of evidence come into the courtroom?
You determine that.
In this scenario, when we talked about statement regarding Cody Arnold, whose decision was it to handle it in the fashion that we did? Freaking 4:30, dude.
He had, I thought he had 6 or 7.
Last one today. Sir,
I thought you were gonna try to squeeze 6 or 7 in this evening.
if I was gonna squeeze 6 and 7, somebody better write those numbers out and let me do this.
prosecutor's Old West comparison isn't casual chatter, it's strategic jury education. Most jurors understand revolvers from movies, semi-automatic pistols work differently, and that difference matters for reconstructing the shooting. By having Henley explain the spring-loaded magazine and chambering mechanism, the prosecutor is laying groundwork for testimony about how many shots were fired, how quickly, and whether the gun was ready to fire again. Firearms mechanics become case facts.
Anybody else here? I have no life. I'd be here on the Saturday or Sunday. Well, no, I don't work on Sundays.
Ballistics evidence is powerful but limited. The technician can match bullet to gun with near certainty, yet cannot say who pulled the trigger. This distinction matters enormously at trial. Under Federal Rule of Evidence 702, expert testimony must help the jury determine a fact in issue. Here, the match helps establish the weapon used, but the prosecution still needs other evidence to prove the defendant fired it.
I'd be here on the Saturday or Sunday. Well, no, I don't work on Sundays. We need to move that chair up for you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Know the drill, make sure that the jury can hear you. State your name for the records.
My name is Brandy Henley.
And what do you do for a living, ma'am?
I'm a forensic scientist firearms examiner at the Jefferson County Regional Crime Lab here in Beaumont, Texas.
All right, so the jury has met a couple of forensic scientists, but they've not met a firearms examiner. So what does a firearms examiner do?
As a firearms examiner, my primary focus is to determine whether or not fired component can be associated back to a common source or common firearm.
What kind of training does it take to do your job, ma'am?
My formal training is Bachelor's of Science degrees in both biology and psychology. Specific to firearms examination and forensic science, I have specific training from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which we know as ATF, forensic technologies, multiple firearms manufacturers in the form of armor courses, manufacturing tours of firearm manufacturing facilities, as well as ammunition manufacturing facilities, as well as a very extensive, approximate 2-year training program under an experienced firearms examiner. During that training program, I have multiple competency tests along the way, as well as significant supervised casework prior to being released on my own casework.
So how long have you been working in that capacity?
I've been at the crime lab for 19 years as of January, and the firearms section of the crime lab for about 18 of those years.
And have you maintained all the certifications and continuing education you've needed to during that time frame?
Yes, sir. We have a new proficiency test, as well as I hold a license to perform forensic science in Texas from the Texas Forensic Science Commission.
Maintain that throughout your time, I bet.
Yes, sir.
Have you been qualified as an expert in this area? Well, probably every time you've come down to the courthouse.
Yes, sir.
How many times would you say roughly you've testified?
Many times, I would say maybe approximately 20.
Were you called upon to do some exam from the sheriff's office involving a suspect by the name of Cody Arnold?
Yes, sir.
And what is the case number from the sheriff's office?
Right. Reference so that I don't misspeak.
Please.
The sheriff's office case number
Yes.
or the laboratory?
Let's start with the sheriff's office first.
I have 22 -0000788 for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office case number.
And just like you gave a prelude to, the lab has a different case number, right?
Yes,
Or case number.
that's correct.
What's the one that the regional crime lab has assigned to this case?
The laboratory case number we've assigned is RCL, which stands for Regional Crime Lab -22-117797.
We have 4 pieces of evidence that I believe that ended up at your office for you to examine. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Does it include a firearm, a magazine, a cartridge case, and a fired bullet?
Yes, sir. The firearm and then the contents of the firearm stock as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's start. We're gonna do this numerically. I'll show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 25. Do you recognize this item?
I do.
What is this?
This is a gun box, which is our standard packaging for handguns submitted to the laboratory.
See a lot of these events.
Yes.
And does this one have not only the Jefferson County Crime Lab number, but as well as the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office numbers?
I'd be matching case information for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office label as well as our laboratory number on our laboratory generated barcode. I can also see our laboratory evidence tape where I feel after analysis.
So you put the yellow tape on there,
Yes, sir, the yellow tape, the laboratory tape.
and during one of the breaks, you actually looked at the contents in this box.
I did.
And you remember those items as well.
Yes, sir.
You were actually the last person in the chain of custody of this particular item, is that correct?
As far as I know, that's correct. I don't know. I know once I complete analysis, I replace a seal on the box so that my date and initials are on the seal. If that's open afterwards, then it's out of my custody at that point.
So once you finish your work, it typically goes back to the other agency.
Yes, sir. When all of the reviews have been done and my analysis completed, I seal the packaging and transfer it back into our evidence vault at the laboratory to await agency pickup.
So you're on Superintendent State's Exhibit 25.
No objections, 25.
Without objection, it's submitted.
States 26. That was generated for States 26A. Do you recognize it?
Yes, sir. By the same token, I can see our laboratory generated barcode, as well as the yellow evidence tape that I placed after analysis and the date that I completed analysis or sealed it as well as my initials.
You mentioned that it has the Jefferson County Crime Lab number on it as well, yes?
Yes, sir. So there are 2 sets of yellow evidence tape on there. I believe it was collected by the laboratory as opposed to submitted by outside agent.
State Pretender States 26 and 26A.
No objections, 26, 26A, Judge.
Without objection, they are admitted.
States 27. Sent questions for this particular item, which purports to be a magazine.
Yes, sir. I can identify this also by the laboratory barcode. You can see it through the state exhibit number as well as laboratory tape and my date and initial.
Actually, you and I handle it, you can actually feel the item. And
Yes, I would be able to guess what it is.
The Pretender States 27.
No objections, States 27.
One. What does this purport to be, and does it match the items we've been talking about so far? Meaning your number from the lab as well as the sheriff's office.
Yes, sir. The agency case number or Jefferson County Sheriff's Office case number, as well as the laboratory barcode case number are consistent with what we spoke of earlier. I can also.
Items that you ultimately compared, did a firearms examination on this particular case?
Those are the items of evidence that I evaluated, yes, sir.
Yeah, I know that in states 25, there's some items within it, but we'll start there. What states 25? To date, they haven't, I've been kind of hiding what's in the box. What is it?
That is a Ruger LPP two semi-automatic pistol, 380 auto caliber.
So if they take a look at the gun, what are they gonna see that we've got positioned to it?
I always mark, as long as I have evidence to do so, I mark the evidence that I analyze, especially the firearms, with the laboratory case number, or at least the last digit that we refer to, the 117797, as well as the exhibit number and my initial on the actual evidence.
Is this a firearm?
Yes.
And is a firearm a device designed, made, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion or burning substance or any other device readily convertible to that use?
Yes, sir.
And are firearms considered a deadly weapon?
Yes, sir.
Within that box, there's some items, yes? We can see through this one. What are those?
Those are unfired cartridges, 380 auto caliber.
You said 380 caliber. Tell them what that is while I'm opening this stuff up.
The caliber designation just identifies the size, shape, configuration of the ammunition that is designed to be fired in whichever weapon. So this firearm is chambered for 380 auto caliber. Therefore, it needs to be loaded with 380 auto caliber for it to fit properly and cycle and function properly.
And this gun is considered what kind of a gun?
It's an automatic pistol or handgun.
As opposed to a revolver, if they're thinking about the Old West, where somebody used to spin a chamber and shoot a gun.
Yes,
right?
that would be semi-automatic as opposed to a revolver.
How are these loaded?
For a semi-automatic pistol in this case, generally the unfired cartridges or rounds of ammunition are loaded into a magazine, we'll call it clip, and then that's inserted into the weapon. As the slide is pulled rearward, it will grab the next round in the magazine and feed it into the chamber and ready the firearm for discharge.
And these two other items contained within your box that was tendered to you, are they in fact magazines?
Yes, sir. I believe those metal envelopes house 2 magazines that submitted with the firearms.
What's on the outside of this envelope? What's written on there?
My identifying information as well as fair mag in silver bag.
Show that to the jury, please.
There is a magazine. This is consistent with a magazine. Different sizes for different calibers of firearms.
And that's designed to load these type of bullets, correct?
Yes, sir. You will feed them into there. This is kind of spring loaded. You press it down, it holds all of them, and it has spring tension to, as the slide grabs the next round to place it into the chamber of the firearm, the next round is pushed up by the spring in the magazine.
Right. Getting the ass, somebody in magazines not what we're reading. Right,
I don't think people read many magazines anymore.
this item just came out of this bag. And the writing indicates that's the one that came with the gun,
Yes,
correct?
sir. The text, this mag was in the firearm, was placed on that envelope. Not by myself, but as the seat.
When you got it, were the bullets separated like that?
Yes, sir, they were.
So when you go to testing, if we're gonna talk to the jury about, this is how you receive the elements, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, let's go to the next item, that's 26A. What's this supposed to be?
I believe that 26A, I believe was a fire cartridge case.
So the jury would have fired cartridge cases.
The fire cartridge case is the actual casing of a round of ammunition, which holds the propellant powder or the gunpowder in place with the bullet securely pressed in the end of it. So it is the casing for the gunpowder, which is ignited by a spark generated when the hammer hits the primer, which causes the explosion in the definition that he read earlier, which will then push the bullet down the barrel of the fire. So a round of ammunition has two parts.
Putting this up on the projector, is that the item that came out of there, man?
That appears to be consistent with the answer. I can't see detail, but that is a fired cartridge case.
Did you put this writing on here?
Yes, sir.
It appears, looks like it's your case number.
Yes, sir. It'll be my case number, the exhibit number that we assigned to that evidence item, and my initial, just like how I marked the firearm.
So I've turned that on this direction. What did you pick up from this that I'm trying to focus in for the jury? Appears to say Hornady 380 auto.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's a lot more.
Hornady
There you
is
go.
the manufacturer or brand of that ammunition, and then the caliber designation is 380 auto. So that just distinguishes that that is the caliber designed to be fired in a firearm chambered for 380 auto.
So with these, by comparison with these bullets, 627. One bigger item than from the fish out of the original.
Yes, sir.
What was that?
This is also a magazine, which would hold relative ammunition to be fed into. This is what I would refer to as an extended magazine. Magazine that was designed to hold the caliber of ammunition that fed. It,
That's thing. Out of here is another old. What is that?
that is a fired bullet or fired projectile, which you'll hear often.
That what a bullet looks like after it's been fired?
This style of bullet is a cavity with the jacket folded in. It's designed to expand upon impact. So that was,
It's over where the number is, right?
yes, sir, that's my exhibit number on my report.
We have an evidence states exhibit 47. Same item, right?
It appears to be consistent, yes.
I told you
It'll look
this
a little-
was taken at the autopsy.
It'll look a little different in that because in the, within my examination, for me to see the surface area that I'm evaluating, oftentimes I have to bend those petals for the jacket that folded backwards upon impact. I have to bend those out the way for me to see the full bearing surface of the marks on the bullet. So that's why you'll see a little different in those images.
So you received all this evidence and you did an examination, correct?
Correct.
Tell the jury what you're examining these products for.
For any firearm headed into the laboratory, I will begin by documenting all of the demographic information of the firearm, the make, the model, the serial number, the caliber designation that it's designed to fire. I will conduct a laboratory examination for functionality, making sure that the firearm appears to function as it's designed or as I would expect it to, as opposed to with the submitted firearm. So I will get my own generated bullets and cartridges.
So I'm asking something about this out. That's, I'm sorry. You okay with that? It's good, yourself. You guys all okay? Yeah, please. Right, so with the bailiff's assistance, I've removed the gun from. You might handle all the time, right? So. You took this particular gun and you did a test fire to determine if it performed properly.
Hold on. Once again, and somebody in the future may be just reading this, they don't know what firearm you're talking about. It's just a gun, which there's more than one of on the planet.
This is the firearm we just removed out of the box of States Exhibit 25. Yes. And to be clear, this is what type of firearm?
This is a Ruger model LCP2, a semi-automatic pistol chambered for 380 auto caliber.
And you test fired that particular gun to see if it functioned?
Yes, sir, I did.
And it did?
It did function as designed, yes, sir.
And you know, have a neat little testing area you do that, right?
Yes, sir. We have a facility at the back of the complex of the Jefferson County Correctional Facility. And we have a large water tank, and that's what we test fired firearms into. So the huge amount of water in the water tank slows the velocity of the projectile so that it goes from water undamaged and just drops to the bottom. The cartridge cases are ejected from the firearm and we catch them basically in a mesh net so that I get as pristine as possible samples for my comparison as no specimens generated from this firearm.
Did I read your report correctly that you loaded this magazine with a bullet and used it to test fire?
I used the magazine that was labeled as having been collected in the firearm. Yes, sir, that's just magazine in the firearm. That's the one that I chose to use in test firing, but they are, for all intents and purposes, identical.
Your reference there is 37.3, right?
Yes, sir.
So not this other one that appears to come from the silver bag, correct?
Correct. Either one of those would have fit. So it's just, and they would have done the same exact function. I just picked the one that the scene or collection personnel stated was collected in the firearm.
And did I read your report right that you didn't do any other testing on the other magazine or the bullets that were actually contained within the box?
The
Right?
extended magazine, yes, sir.
No,
it's just
no,
the
ma'am.
capacity of both of those magazines are the same. And the unfired cartridges, I look at them, evaluate them, inventory them, and that is it.
You didn't use one of the bullets that it came with to test fire, did you?
I do not believe so. I believe I used laboratory stock ammunition. If I may reference, so that I don't misspeak. Yeah, I didn't use any of the unfired cartridges that were submitted with the firearm. I used laboratory ammunition to generate my test fires.
All right, so your test fire, does that have evidence that you have?
Yes, the purpose of generating a test fire is to know for a fact that the marks that I am evaluating on the fire component are consistent with being marked by this firearm. I do it myself. I know that those are representative of having been fired from this firearm or in this firearm. I conduct 3 test fires generally, more if needed, but at least 3 so that I can compare those microscopically. So that I can evaluate the markings on the test fires to know that that firearm consistently and reproducibly marks the fire component.
Right, so we're gonna come back to how it is to make comparisons, but step 1, we had is it true that this is a functioning? This is States Exhibit 25, this 38, 380 Ruger. So the functioning firearm, and you got a proper test fire from it.
Yes, sir.
States Exhibit 27. The extended mag You ruled it out, we don't really have anything we're gonna be talking about today, if that's correct.
That's correct. It was not designed to fit in with firearm, and I didn't receive any further evidence that it would be associated with. So that was the extent of my analysis.
So once we have this test fire, did you then compare it to the casing in 26A
I did.
and the projectile in 41?
Yes, sir. And
What'd you find out?
I compared them microscopically against the submitted fire component.
What'd you find out?
Based upon the microscopic examination of the fired cartridge case and fired bullets submitted, I was able to form the opinion that the fired cartridge case was fired in State Exhibit 27, I believe, 25 firearm. And by the same token, microscopic examination of the fired bullet submitted allowed me to form the opinion that the fired bullet was fired from State Exhibit 25.
So you can say, based upon your examination, that this gun, 25, fired a bullet out of 26A that resulted in 41's fragmented.
Based upon the microscopic comparison of those fired components, it was my opinion that each of them were fired in and fired from the State Exhibit 25 firearms submitted.
So let's get into just a little bit of detail of what that means. When we say microscopic, are you able to tell us that with just the naked eye?
No, sir. My examination utilizes a comparison microscope, which is a large comparison microscope, large piece of equipment that is basically two separate microscopes joined together by one ocular bridge. So I can put specimens on each stage or each side, each smaller microscope, so to speak, and look for one set of pieces, and it allows me to see them side by side. So I can see my known specimens side by side against any unknown fired component that I'm evaluating.
So let's say that you didn't have the gun. You've often been called upon to look at a bullet or casing to determine things about that, correct?
Correct.
What do you learn from just those items itself?
During my microscopic examination, I'm evaluating microscopic marks, which are tool marks that are imparted onto the fired component by the internal surfaces of the firearm. So in the machining or manufacturing process of a firearm, different machining processes are used to cut the pieces, smooth out the pieces, grind the pieces, sand the pieces, whichever procedures they use. And those manufacturing techniques will leave tool marks onto the internal surfaces of the firearm. When a round is discharged or a cartridge is loaded into the firearm and discharged in the firearm, the projectile of the bullet is down the barrel, which has marks manufactured into the barrel, which are used to impart a rotary motion on the bullet. The cartridge case also encounters other surfaces of the firearm, which impart tool marks onto it. Those tool marks are the microscopic marks, the fine tool marks that I'm evaluating with my microscope.
So with State's Exhibit 25, so the way this gun is manufactured and how it's fired here, is that going to create certain marks that tells you it came out of this gun?
Yes, sir.
With this casing and the bullet that comes out of it, are there certain things that help you to know that it came from a certain manufacturer and a certain type of gun?
Yes.
But when we have all three like we do here, is when you can make that positive identification.
Yes, sir. If I have a firearm and I can generate test fires and evaluate those test fires against one another to determine if the firearm repeatedly, reproducibly marks these specimens in a specific way, then I can use those known specimens to evaluate against any other fire component to attempt to form an opinion of whether or not they came from the same source, which would be the firearm.
Is that almost like how each of us have individual fingerprints? Is that particular?
Oftentimes it can be likened to that. It's a little different in that um, it's not the same type of analysis, but
But is
latent
it-
identification is an impression analysis, and we do fall under impression.
I'm talking about the particular weapon will always leave a particular mark.
Generally speaking, yes. When I think that based upon my microscopic examination, it's my opinion. That is based upon my training experience, the numbers of items I've evaluated, the similar and dissimilar marks that I've seen on firearms. So I can't state that to the exclusion of everything else because there are millions of firearms in the world and or as unique and identifiable as fingerprints per se.
From a forensic scientist standpoint, this is as certain as you can be, correct?
Yes, sir. I would not state my opinion if I did not see the threshold of agreement of the microscopic marks that I saw.
Great, thank you. That's what it's.
Just several short questions. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you know who fired the firearm? Fired the gun?
No, sir. I have no way of knowing
Do you know
that.
how they retrieved it?
I do not. I believe that there is an address or maybe it's something listed on my commission form as the location. That's all I know.
You don't know anything about manner, means, how it was used or anything like that?
Absolutely not. I do not.
Except you looked at it and you said, that bullet, that casing, that firearm, best of my ability, came out of the same.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I only had occasion to evaluate the evidence that you see in front of me.
Thank you. Next witness, sir.
Cody Arnold was convicted of first-degree murder for the 2026 homicide of Caitlin Stone. The jury accepted the ballistics evidence linking the recovered firearm to the fatal bullet, despite defense efforts to highlight what the science could not prove. Arnold remains in custody without bond pending sentencing, where he faces a mandatory minimum of 25 years and possible life imprisonment under Texas law. Science can identify the weapon. Only people can identify the shooter. The gap between those two facts is where trials are won and lost, and why no single piece of evidence ever tells the whole story. Subscribe for more courtroom breakdowns every week.